week I made Milk Bar's disappointment birthday cake. Like, I was disappointed. Not that I was disappointed in Milk Bar's recipe. Like, I was disappointed in life. This week I'm making Bon Appetit's salty buckwheat chocolate chunk cookies. I'm preferring to call them Buck Up Buckwheat chocolate cookies because today we need to buck up, get over it, and get back to it. Let's get to the ingredients. Butter, flour, buckwheat, which can be a little hard to find. Sometimes you can find it in the bulk bins at your local health food store, but these days I am skipping the communal bins and I opted for Bob's Red Mill buckwheat flour. This top is super great. It's more of like a Velcro slide, so it keeps the flour really fresh because honestly, I don't grab for buckwheat that often. Here I combined baking powder, baking soda, and salt. You'll need chocolate chunks. You can cut a chocolate bar into chunks if you have the patience for that, or you can just buy them. It's really not that big of a deal. Light brown sugar, 1 large egg, 2 egg yolks, and vanilla extract. I cut that stick of butter into pieces to make the melting process a little easier. The idea is just to melt the butter. And honestly, you could use the microwave for this if you'd prefer. Set aside the butter so that it can cool. Meanwhile, whisk together the flour, buckwheat, and baking powder, soda, and salt. Add the cooled butter to a large bowl and add both sugars. Whisk together until all the sugar is incorporated and is clump-free. Add the full egg, followed by the egg yolks. Whisk until fully combined. Whisk in the vanilla extract. At this point, the mixture should appear smooth. Mix and fold until no dry streaks remain. Add all the chocolate. Just remember, you're gonna need a little bit more chocolate for later. Here's where reading the instructions comes in handy. Much like last week, I thought I could wing it. This recipe calls for the dough to be covered and chilled for at least 2 hours. Post-dough chilling nap, both for the dough and for me, remove the dough from the fridge. Now's a good time to adjust your oven racks to the upper and lower thirds of the oven. Line your cookie sheet with parchment paper to make cleanup easier. You can use a spoon to portion your cookies, but I prefer this cookie scoop that I found at Target. Thanks, Target. Because these cookies spread so much in the oven, I limit each cookie sheet to about 6 cookies. Before these cookies go in the oven, I place a few more pieces of chocolate on top. Bake the cookies until the edges are golden brown. This next part takes a bit of quick work. Pull the cookie sheets out of the oven one at a time and tap it lightly on your stove. You'll notice that the cookies will immediately deflate. Here I use the Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. Allow the cookies to cool on the sheet for 5 minutes before moving them to the cooling rack. All right, so these cookies. See, that has the fine sea salt texture, the ooey gooey chocolate. Here's one that I baked for just a little bit longer. You can see it's a little more firm as opposed, so here's one that I pulled out after 8 minutes so you could get the idea. It's really soft here in the middle. I personally prefer the ones with just slightly more crunch. This is an elevated chocolate chip cookie. It's a little nuttier, it's got a little better flavor. It's honestly just a little bit more exciting. So if you want to make your chocolate chip cookies just a little bit more exciting, I highly suggest this recipe. Try out these Buckwheat chocolate chunk cookies. As always, if you have any recommendations or recipes that you'd like me to bake here on the channel, please let me know down below. You can use a spoon to portion your cookies, but I prefer this Koopy Scoop.